never played in the playoffs, never been above 500. And as you are acutely aware, sometimes great regular season shooters are not great playoff shooters. And that would make me nervous if he were my big offseason move. So I think it works-ish for the Lakers, and I'm certainly higher on it than the vast majority of people.
Yeah, of course you're going to be higher on it than the majority of people, though, because once again, you guys, these guys, it's very clear to me. You know, when things are going good, you see that, you know, LeBron James starts to get the credit when things are going good. You know, when they start to make these moves and, you know, the GM and LeBron, the GM, he's a greater GM than he puts better teams together than Michael Jordan. And when it all goes good, he gets all the credit. But when things go bad, they say, you know, they start to deflect and things come out that tend to not be true. And we understand that this is, you know, Chris Broussard tends to do these things. You know, Shannon Sharp does these things. Nick Wrong, a.k.a. Nick Wright, also does these things. It's a few people in the media who tend to do these. You know, but it's a few people who actually, you know, hold people, you know, under the light to the proper perspective. So, you know, that's why I like to, you know, go on a lot of the media that you can see is clear that are getting paid under the table once again by LeBron James and Clutch Sports. All right, it's very clear to me because once again, when everything's going good, LeBron James gets credit, and you see how far they're on his side. But when things go good, we're gonna see where the story goes and who the blame starts to go to. Because when it's all going good, it goes to LeBron James.
I love you, buddy, and welcome back. We missed you all last week. We were rooting for you. We were cheering you on, and now you're back. But, hey, I'm not going to take it easy on you. Jenna didn't ask who won the trade. That's not what she asked. What Jenna asked was, will this work? And you spent 5 seconds talking about, oh, well, you know, I'm on the record to saying that it may be a difficult, you know, chemistry experiment, et cetera, whatever you said.
Yeah, and he has to make sure that he says that so that way if the ship does tend to fail, which it will, because it'll turn into a shit show once again. It's going to turn into a shit show. So once it starts to fail again, he's going to be able to go, oh, I said that it wasn't. It couldn't have worked. I said I was firsthand. I did. You know, just like how the LeBron James fanboys in the media always tend to do. But let's get back to it.
And then you took...
But good job from Brandon Marshall on calling this bullshit out.
Then you took 10 minutes, well, really 5 minutes, talking about everything else. Like Jenna didn't ask about the trade. You know this won't work. Can we get the honest Nick today? When we did...
Exactly. Tell him, Brandon.
This back in December, when James Harden left Houston to go to the Nets, everybody was up in arms. Oh, it's a chemistry experiment from whatever. It's not going to work. This is the same thing. There's no way this is going to work. I love LeBron James. I love...
Yeah, and the thing is, too, that nobody is even talking about is that, you know, when the Nets acquired, you know, James Harden, and, you know, Blake Griffin, even LaMarcus Aldridge. Remember, it was, oh, they're all afraid of LeBron James. It's to take out LeBron James. And they couldn't even get out the first round. And now that you see LeBron James trying to building a super team, another super team of his own, right? Another super team of his own. Once again, it's not enough. And you see how they don't try to narrate it and try to push it as, oh, LeBron James is stacking up the deck to go up with one super team against the other super team. And they're even trying to say, I'm pretty sure that they're even going to start to say that, you know, it's not a super team and try to make the case that it's not a super team and things of that nature. But we're going to see what happens because this is clearly a superstar. This is clearly a super team, and it's going to be even worse than the 2004 Lakers failed super team. It's going to be even worse than that because they were at least able to be competitive. You know, if I'm not mistaken, they still won 50-something odd games. I'm telling you, the Lakers are going to be the bottom of the Western Conference, man.
AD and the right AD playing basketball, not the AD we saw last year. And I love Russell Westbrook. But those three guys together, there's no way this is going to work. You know they need shooters. You tell me right now who's going to be the guy that's sitting out there on the perimeter ready to bang down the three.
LeBron James, because he's the greatest player of all time. Don't forget who you're talking to. Brandon Marshall, this is Nick Wright. LeBron James can do everything. He's going to make all of his teammates better. If Russell Westbrook can't shoot threes, LeBron James will make him better. And if Russell Westbrook can't, if LeBron James can't be, but that's not impossible. It's not possible for LeBron James to not be able to make his teammates better. What am I talking about? But even if so, let's say that does happen, right? And LeBron James can't figure it out with Russell Westbrook, at least with his 3-point powers, right? LeBron James is going to be out there because he's the greatest player of all time. Remember, he's a greater three-point shooter than Michael Jordan.
When they kick it out to him, whether it's LeBron or if it's Westbrook, and you're talking about AD.
Well, that guy's not on the team
Will
yet.
he want to play center? Okay, where's he coming from? Where's he coming from?
Well, Anthony Davis reportedly, when they were recruiting Russ, said he would play more center. But I guess we need to define what work means. I think the Lakers are the overwhelming favorites to make the finals. Now, as of right now, I think they are underdogs to the Bucks, the favorite.
Right. You see, they're supposed to be the favorites to the finals. And you also heard how he said that, Anthony Davis is trying to play a little bit more of the 5-1. We know that that's not true. Anthony Davis came out and said that he doesn't want to do that. So don't be surprised if they keep AD at the 4 and move LeBron to the 5. And try to move LeBron to the 5, but LeBron being more of a shooting guard center, playing outside the paint when it comes to the ball, so that way he can stat pad and he can have Russell Westbrook and somebody else really handle, the playmaking abilities or decision making. But once again, when it comes to that time, LeBron James is going to need to be the point guard because he's not going to be able to overcome Russell Westbrook.
To win the championship, the best team in the NBA with the best player in the NBA who did just win the title. But I do think that this trade makes it, if you're the Bucks, Wilds, are you more or less excited about playing the Lakers if it's KCP in their starting 5 or if it's Russ? Because if I'm the opposition, Russ at least is a headache, is a pain, and I don't think it can be overstated. The LeBron in year 19, that he can now take some games off or certainly some stretches off, and the offense won't go to die with Russ out there doing Russ thing.
So how many games, so I'll just dig in on that before I give my answer. How many games do you want LeBron to play, or do you think LeBron is going to play? Because I've seen this storyline.
LeBron should be playing anywhere between 45 to 55 games. Because once again, LeBron James, he's a little bit older. He's on the other side. He's not, he hasn't fell off that necessarily quote unquote cliff yet. But, he's definitely, not on the same. He's definitely not on the same side of he's not on the same side or the early side of 30. He's on the late side of his 30s, so, it's not going to be the same, whenever you get hit or whenever you get nicked and things of that nature, it's not going to feel the same. You're not going to be able to recover from it as fast. Even though LeBron James's PEDs, HGH, quote unquote, $1.5 million a year that he spends on training, quote unquote, should be able to help him keep in shape, because he's the greatest athlete of all time, allegedly so.
72.
About that. Okay, so all right, then that doesn't seem like that much, because I've seen this storyline kind of bandied about.
Yeah. I ain't even hear what this nigga Nick Rice said. 72 games, I doubt it. I know LeBron James is gonna miss. LeBron James is gonna miss at least 25, 30 games.
Okay, so all right then.
You see, he doesn't even believe that either, and Nick Wright doesn't believe it either. You can see it on his face.
That doesn't seem like that much rest for him. Do you want his minutes to come down as well, and let him play
34 minutes a night,
down
72
into
games.
high? Okay, I thought you were high 20s, low 30s, and let Russ kind of run the offense almost as like a 6-man, like a Lou Williams. So look, if that's the idea that Russ is kind of this version of an insurance policy, sure, I buy that. But come playoff time, does anyone feel really good about rolling out a AD who doesn't want to play 5? So I guess all of a sudden.
Thank you. That's my point. Now all of a sudden he just wants to play 5. That's what I'm saying. You can expect LeBron James to end up quote unquote end up going down there into the paint and trying to play the 5 position so he can stat pad some more.
He's had a change of heart, although he hasn't wanted to play 5 in years. Russ, who is literally the worst 3-point shooter. Only 6 guys were worse in the league last year, and he's the worst high-volume 3-point shooter of all time. And an aging LeBron, I just don't know. So, Nick, I feel less enthusiastic about this trade. I still love Russ, but it makes more sense. The Buddy Hield trade made more sense. And the big question I have for you is this. Philosophically, when the Buddy Hield trade didn't work out, I understood what they were doing. It's all right.
But is it true that the Buddy Hield trade didn't work out? Or, because there's been reports that LeBron James, we already saw that LeBron James and Anthony Davis and Russell Westbrook, they had their whole little thing going on social media where they were kissing each other's ass and kind of letting the people know what they had going on. Same thing with, Kyrie and James Harden. Because if I'm not mistaken, last summer, they were already teaming up, working out together, and we saw it on social media. So what was the same thing going on with these guys? Let's just get back to it.
Buddy's is a 40% shooter in Sacramento.
Yeah,
so as much as you say, like, oh, the guy hasn't hit a big shot, like, all right, how good could he be if he's getting...
Right, and then that's the thing. Even though he's a part of that, that two-headed monster with him and De'Aaron Fox, those two young guys, if you were to be able to get him, it's a better fit because you can be able to make some adjustments because he's still young. He can at least work within some type of system or frame if they do get a system. Because I still don't believe that they'll be running an actual conducive system whatsoever. This team is going to have to be old because they're going to have to go out and get a whole bunch of, free agents who's going to be taking the veteran minimum. Or probably buying out guys that LeBron James has already played with before, previously on other teams. So, but that's the thing, when it comes with the Russell Westbrook, he's, 14 years in the league already. 13 years in the league already, however long he's been in the league, man. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. So Russell Westbrook, once again, he is the system, and he's not going to be able to play any type of basketball that's going to be conducive to actually winning a game because he's a stat pattern, just like LeBron James. And even with this thing, allegedly, you can't be, even with this thing, going the way that it's going right now with all the media on their side, you can't necessarily, say that it didn't fall through. This trade with Buddy Hield didn't fall through, because once again, we saw that LeBron James and Anthony Davis was already playing kitty cat with Russell Westbrook throughout the summer. So, and it's already came out that AD said, it already came out that AD and LeBron already said that they wanted Russell over Buddy Hield. So at least from my sources.
Open looks because the defense is drawn to AD and LeBron. I actually think it would be better, not worse. But once that deal didn't work out, it feels like a total change in philosophy where they're not going after a shooter. They're going after, like, Russ, who wants to drive to the rim and kind of, like, create more spacing problems than answers.
Well, but it's not like the Buddy Hield deal fell through. They opted for this one instead. The Buddy Hield deal was there for the taking. And
that's what I'm saying. So remember that the Buddy Hield, the deal fell through. They already had it. It was locked. And it was, from what I heard, this is the same thing. It was already locked. So remember this. You guys remember this later on in the season when the season is going bad and they try to say, and they try to push this on the Los Angeles Lakers allegedly, wanting to pursue Russell Westbrook, and they just happen to bring it to the. You never know what's going on. So but when things start to go bad, because they will, remember this video.
This was what they thought was better. But I want to ask Brandon a question. Brandon, so what do you think the Lakers' ceiling is then? What do you think the Lakers' ceiling is then? The second round like the Nets?
Yeah, their ceiling is the playoffs. That's their ceiling. Their ceiling will be to play in the playoffs. That's their ceiling. They're not making it out the first round.
They have an opportunity.
Like what? What is it?
No. I'm glad you. Yeah. They have an opportunity to make it to the finals for sure, 100%.
Yeah, they have They got an opportunity to make it to the finals if every single motherfucking superstar gets hurt. And even with them, they'll still be battling with the whack teams with Russell Westbrook, man. I promise you. And LeBron James doesn't have the same impact. So imagine, and especially because Anthony Davis is extremely soft, man. Don't expect him to play the entire season. Let's say AD gets hurt. Russell Westbrook is here to be an insurance policy for LeBron James and Anthony Davis. For when one of them or when both of them happen to go down, he could be able to, steer the ship because he's a superstar on his own and he's able to get triple doubles. And that's really all people are really looking at, so.
But yeah, I'm glad you brought it up. They're not doing this because of the Bucks. I mean, because it's about championships. That's what it's about. It's about winning. Okay. You know that they can make it.
Thank you. But the thing is, they're not going to be competing for a fucking championship. They're going to be competing to battle. They're going to be competing for the play-in tournament. And I'll put money on it.
To the finals and lose. And you know, LeBron James and the Lakers are going to be judged more harshly. So all of this to beat the Nets, these guys only play. We talked about this last week when you were on your little sabbatical. But all this.
You see that? Now Nick Wright is like, oh, to beat the Nets? What are you talking about? But when the Nets, when they got Blake Griffin, LaMarcus Aldridge, even though those guys are old and they're not the same as who they once were. You guys were saying that even with James Harden, they were saying, oh, all this to read a 36-year-old LeBron James. He rests in the mines, and this how you know he's the king, and they're still in the battle for his throne. But now, when it's clear that you guys are, rather than getting actual pieces that'll fit your scheme, you guys go out and get more star power. So what do you mean? Why are you acting as if you're so surprised that you guys, as if that's not the plan to take down the fucking Nets? When really, y'all got to take out the people out there in the Western Conference. Y'all going to have to see the Clippers, assuming y'all make it to the playoffs, assuming they make it to the playoffs. They going to have to see them Clippers, and Kawhi Leonard, assuming that he gets back to his playoff form that he was in last season, he will be headhunting every single one of them niggas on the motherfucking Lakers. And you could bet money on that. LeBron James, all right, LeBron James ain't going to be able to stat pad. All right, Russell Westbrook, them guys are going to eat the paint up. You feel me? They're going to leave Russ on an island, and dare him to shoot and just clog the paint. Same thing with LeBron James. They're going to force him to be a jump shooter, and Kawhi Leonard is going to force him to put the ball on the floor. And Kawhi Leonard is going to force him to put the ball on the floor to rip that boy. We all saw what this man, Luka Doncic, how different he played when Kawhi was on him. And Donovan Mitchell, two superstars. Whenever Kawhi Leonard got on them, they didn't want to put the ball on the floor. All right, and we saw what Patrick Beverley did to Devin Booker as last season. And I'm actually going to be doing an upload on the Devin Booker and the Kobe Bryant thing that they had going on. So we're going to see what's going on with that too.
This is about the Nets, and everybody know it. These guys only.
You see that? See that look on his face? And you can. Hey, I'll pause it at the right seat. Because look at this nigga's face. He's trying to make it seem, and this is the good thing, once again, why other people that are not getting paid under the table by sports media, it's good for, other people to give a review on these type things to try and lead the discussion away from how they want it to go. Not necessarily how they want it to go, but hey! Not necessarily how they want it to go, but how the storyline of the script reads. And once again, LeBron James is in cahoots with Adam Silver. So their script is going to be, they want the script to be positive for LeBron James. And of course, they don't want to mention the Nets because the Nets and the Clippers are the dark teams of the NBA. They're the teams that everybody hates, that nobody likes to like. Everyone loves to hate on these two teams. Because allegedly these two are the teams that are trying to, these are the two teams that LeBron James fears. And he views them as, threats to his quote-unquote proverbial throne. Which LeBron James actually just got knocked back off the throne again for getting bounced in the first. And it's crazy because the Lakers are the first team in NBA history to actually win an NBA Finals and get bounced in the first round the next year. It's crazy. But once again, when the conversation last year, when the Nets built their team and the Clippers built their team, and actually not even when the Clippers built their team, but last year they were avoiding the Lakers. You guys always want to make it beneficial towards LeBron James, but you guys try to act completely oblivious as if LeBron James isn't aware of these things and LeBron James doesn't see what else is going on, and he's making adjustments because of the adjustments that were made in the landscape of the NBA. So for you to act oblivious to the fact that the Lakers are doing this and try to act like they're not doing this because of what he sees over what he sees in the Clippers, what he sees over there in the Bulls, what he sees in the Warriors, because once again, they're going to be a dark horse team too. The Suns, they don't even have, a quote-unquote superstar, So he sees what's going on, man. He's going to have to make adjustments, and he sees, especially that team over there in the Nets, he knows that that's most likely going to be the team that he's going to have to play in the finals, assuming that he does make it to the finals, which he won't. LeBron James is done winning championships for the rest of his career.
play 8 games together. You have James Harden, who have this little shaky hamstring. You have Kawhi Leonard, who goes on the, Kyrie Irving, who goes on these sabbaticals, right? Similar to what you just came off of. And then you have Kevin Durant, the little Twitter fingers. So all that to beat these guys, right? Come on, man. This ain't about the Bucks. Everybody knows who's the favorite to win the NBA Finals next year.
Well, to win the finals, you got to get to the finals, which is something the Nets struggled with last
year. Yeah, and that's also something that it's funny how you say that, because that's something, in order to get to the finals, the Nets made it further than the Lakers did in the playoffs last year. Isn't that funny? How the Lakers got bounced in the first round. Chris Paul was literally throwing games for these guys for the Lakers to stay in the game and for these guys to win games, and you guys still fucking lost with LeBron James the GOAT.
In fact, they couldn't even make the conference finals. The only finals they could make was the conference semifinals. So that's like playing not even in the bronze medal game. It's like playing in the 6th place game. But listen.
You mean like how LeBron James had to play for the playing game last year? The 2 playing tournament games last season, if I'm not mistaken, right? And then got bounced in the first round. That's funny how, you talk only and beneficial and so biased for LeBron James to speak only one-sided. But once again, this is why we're here to provide the other side.
I'm glad. Here's what I don't want to have happen. Because I was here for the Lakers gave up too much for Anthony Davis. How are they going to be able to defend? LeBron's going to be in year 17. I was there for all of it. And then they win the title, and our dear friend Chris Broussard is like, oh, super team. LeBron's only ever won with a super team. Of course they won. They're us.
Yeah, but, this is clearly a super team. And once again, they given up, even for Anthony Davis, when they got Anthony Davis, they were able to get a lot of pretty good pieces. And get the most out of their pieces with Rajon Rondo, JaVale McGee, Dwight Howard as well. KCP also balled out in the playoffs, but they had to bring out Mr. CBD Gummies himself, Deion Waiters and J.R. Smith, who didn't even really get any playing time. If I'm not mistaken, J.R. Smith didn't. And Rajon Rondo. So, yeah. But as of right now, this clearly is a super team, bro. They have 3 first-ballot Hall of Famers on their squad. So, yeah.
Super team. And now I'm here for...
And then, yeah, you were here for all of that bullshit when, that was Anthony Davis still in his prime. Now that Anthony Davis won that ring, he doesn't seem like he wants to play anymore. But we're going to see this season and, his edge and how much he really wants to win. So, without him being on the floor. And LeBron James understood it. And LeBron James understood that he was going to need to win that year and win that finals. So, once again, without Anthony, assuming that, that Anthony Davis gets hurt at least once, this season, because he always seems to get nicked at least sometime in the season. Once again, he's Mr. Glass. So whenever something, goes down with him, you guys are going to see exactly how great LeBron James is defensively, because everybody was saying that because LeBron James lost a step when he went back to Cleveland the second time. When he went back to Cleveland, when he went back to Cleveland, he actually took a step back and lost a step defensively. So of course, when he joined the Lakers in that first year, when he was with Lonzo and those guys, his defense was fucking atrocious. Kyle Kuzma had to push him into playing defense. I know y'all remember that. Kyle Kuzma had to push that nigga into playing defense and to guarding a 3-pointer. But it wasn't until that they got Anthony Davis that Anthony Davis got there, and he was the one that actually made everyone else's defense better. Because at least you can guard your man up until they get to the point. He's going to provide that help defense, especially getting his hands into the passing lanes and protecting the paint.
Gosh, I really think I would have rather had Buddy Hield. And maybe I'm here for, gosh, I really think I would have rather had Buddy Hield. And maybe who they were going to draft with the 22nd pick.
And look, and exactly what he's saying. He's trying to make a case that when LeBron James gets it done, he figured out a way to get it done when everyone was saying that, oh, it was a bad trade and it might not fit and it won't fit with Russell Westbrook. I'm gonna be the one to say that I told you all. LeBron James is the greatest player of all time. He's the greatest man of all time. He's the greatest husband of all time. He's even the greatest father of all time. He might be the greatest man walking the planet that we've ever seen. No one ever knows.
You know what?
Question.
I think the fixed. No. Hold on. Right. And while right now the Bucks are my pick to repeat, I think the Lakers will be in the finals. And I wouldn't be shocked if the Lakers.
So you're saying that the Bucks, even so you a LeBron James dick rider who says that LeBron James is the greatest player of all time, have them meeting in the finals with the Bucks, and you have the Bucks beating the greatest player of all time, and this super team with Anthony Davis and Russell Westbrook, and he doesn't even have another superstar. He has another half all-star over there, and Chris Middleton, who's not really an all-star. You know, he's an all-star caliber player. You know, but he's not going to be a career, all-star player. He'll be a perennial, all-star every maybe 2, 3, maybe a fourth time in his career. But that's about it. Drew Holiday, yeah. But he's not necessarily a quote-unquote true all-star either because he's been in and out of the all-stars. Mike Conley, he's an all-star, he's definitely an all-star, level player as well, but he's only had one all-star selection because he's been in the Western Conference his entire career. So
win the title. What I don't want to have happen is, once again, LeBron stack deck. You've got Russ. You've got Anthony Davis.
Nigga, that's already what's happened. What are you talking about?
How much help does he need? Because it's not going to work, right? They don't have shooting.
Right.
They're just scared of the, the seventh place NBA finishers last year, the Nets. And that's what it is. It's okay. Got it. We're locked in. I'm excited.
That's right.
I'm excited to see the whole thing go.
It's not going to work.
Yeah, as you sip your tea, knowing that this is going to go down the motherfucking drain. So once again, it's clear that, at least with us in the know and I actually see what's going on, these LeBron fans are nervous. They're feeling themselves because, it's star power. Once again, it sounds good. The looks of it is really good, but no. We're going to see what's going on once again. We're going to see how this Los Angeles Lakers. We're gonna see how this Los Angeles Lakers season goes and how it ends, and I see it going up in flames extremely easily. So that's all we got for here, y'all. I'm your host with the most. We'll be back here. Peace.